Has Putin got his tactics wrong here, do you think?
I don't think he has, no. I think his intention was to do minimum damage and kill minimum people in Ukraine in order to bring about the downfall of the government without creating such a huge resistance movement as he might see if he wreaked real havoc. So that was his intention, I believe. But that doesn't seem to have transpired, and no doubt he didn't necessarily expect it would. But so he's moving on to the next stage now, I think, of beginning to deliver much, much greater violence in the hope that that will eventually persuade the Ukrainians to capitulate. That's what he wants, of course, capitulation. He doesn't want to discuss with them, what their aspirations might be. He wants to lay down at these talks, if they happen, he wants to lay down exactly what his demands are and expect them to adhere to them.
Yeah. It is harrowing to see some of those images of ordinary residential streets, of really quite beautiful architecture just being bombed from the sky. Yeah. It's really extraordinary. For those watching on television, we can see on our screens now the billowing smoke of explosions happening in an otherwise very normal Western-facing city. Yeah. But I've also seen videos of Ukrainians standing in front of convoys of Russian tanks, unarmed, just sort of standing in front trying to stop them. And for now, there hasn't been that kind of shooting of civilians there. But I imagine it's not that long before such protests of ordinary people standing in front of those tanks, those people are going to get shot.
I would expect that those soldiers would have been told if they do shoot people out of hand in those sort of circumstances, they'll probably be hanged themselves back in Russia. Because, as I said, I don't think Putin wants to create any more antagonism in Ukraine than he feels he has to. Of course, launching a war against the country is going to create huge long-term resistance against him if he decides to stay and rule the country in some way. But I think for the time being, that they want to minimize that. I'm not in any way an apologist for Putin, but I don't think that they just want to carry out unrestrained violence at this time. They have a capacity to do it.